friends, and welcome back. And if you're new here, my name is Kim. I'm just working in the kitchen today. I'm getting ready to make some meatball stroganoff. So these are the egg noodles I'm going to use. This is a 16-ounce bag, and these are just wide egg noodles, and I'm going to use half the bag today. Here I've got some boiling water, and a minute ago I just threw in about a half a teaspoon of some salt. And now we're going to put about a half of the bag in. Makes a pretty large pot. It should feed a family of 4 to 6. I'm just going to get these stirred up, and then we're going to bring it back to a boil. And it's going to take about 8 to 10 minutes for them to cook. And then I will give them a taste, make sure they are cooked, and I'm going to drain them and set them aside. And in the meantime, let's get started on the meatballs. In this bowl, I just have a pound of ground beef. You can use turkey if you prefer. You don't have to use ground beef. It works with both. And I just have a small onion that I diced up really small. It's probably about 1/4-inch pieces. You don't want real big chunks because this is going in our meatballs, and we want to make sure that onion is cooked in the same time that the meatballs will cook. I'm going to add in a couple of spices. This is a teaspoon of garlic powder. These meatballs are really easy. There's only a couple ingredients to make them, and they're pretty quick to get done. And I'm also going to add in a teaspoon of onion powder. And next, I'm going to add in 2 teaspoons of brown gravy mix. Now, this is the brown gravy mix you get in the grocery store. You can find it just about anywhere. Any of the local grocery stores, Costco carries it. And this is, you just normally add this brown gravy mix to some water on the stove, mix it all up, heat it up, and then you've got brown gravy. But it adds a really good flavor to meatballs. So it's just McCormick brown gravy mix, or you can buy the packages that come in just a single packet and use one of those. And I'm just adding 2 teaspoons of the brown gravy mix. It just adds a really nice flavor to it. Now, if you want to make these as Italian meatballs, you can add a little parsley, or you can add a little Italian seasoning. You can add oregano, or even a little bit of thyme to it if you want. And then you can use it for spaghetti and meatballs if you want. That was a half a teaspoon of black pepper I just put in there. And then I'm also going to add a half a teaspoon of garlic powder. Or not garlic powder, sorry. This is garlic salt. And this is just Lowry's garlic salt with seasoning. If you don't have garlic salt, don't worry about it. Just add a pinch of salt in there. You just want a little bit for flavor. And here I'm going to add a little bit of minced garlic. Actually, I'm going to add a lot of minced garlic because we like garlic in our meatballs. And this is just some minced garlic you buy in the grocery store. It's just pre-minced. And I'm going to add a big heaping tablespoon to it. Now, if you don't like as much garlic, you can just put a little bit in. But we're garlic lovers here, so I'm going to add a big heaping teaspoon. Okay, I'm going to put some gloves on because it is kind of messy. And here I'm going to mix it all up. Get it nice and mixed. It only takes a couple seconds. Just want to make sure you get all that gravy mix mixed in there. And all that great seasoning mixed up. Okay, now I'm going to start rolling my meatballs. Now, I'm going to do a smaller meatball for this. If you want to do like a spaghetti, you could do a larger meatball. I'm going to do maybe just a little bit bigger than a 1/4 size. Just smaller meatballs. Maybe, I don't know, about 1 inch. Just works as a bite-sized meatball for this dish. Then you don't have to worry about cutting up your meatballs. You can just eat a whole meatball with your pasta at the same time. This recipe is great for kids, especially with these little bite-sized meatballs. I like to put smaller meatballs in the spaghetti too, or anytime I make meatballs. But I'm just going to get all these rolled up, and it makes a lot of meatballs, and even with just a half a bag of the pasta, it makes a really large meal. It's just my husband and I in the house, but we could easily eat it for dinner and then have a nice bowl of leftovers in the fridge if we want to have some more later, if he wants to eat it for lunch or something. So I'm going to work on getting all these meatballs rolled up until I run out of hamburger. And then we can get them cooking on the stove. I'm going to fast forward through here so you don't have to watch me make all these meatballs. It only took me about 5 minutes. It didn't take that long, so it's not bad at all, and it's worth it in the end. These are nice meatballs, and like I said, you can add Italian seasoning to them if you want. You can add anything to them. If you like them a little spicy, you could always add a little cayenne pepper or some chipotle pepper or something. Make some spicy meatballs. Okay, I'm going to get my gloves off here so we can get these cooking. And I'm just using my large frying pan today. We don't have to add any oil to it because there is fat in the meatballs, and we will drain that off later. Now I'm going to be kind of delicate with them when I try to put them in this pan, because they are kind of sticking together on the plate a little bit, and I want to make sure when I put these in the pan that it's just a single layer of meatballs going into the pan. You don't want to double stack them because you don't want them to cook. And I've got my pan on medium-high heat right now, so you can hear that sizzle. That'll brown up these meatballs really fast. What we want to do is we want to cook them on a higher heat, just so we can get them brown real fast. That way they don't fall apart. If you cook them on a lower heat, they'll tend to fall apart on you. So I'm just going to finish getting the rest of these in the pan. I'm going to be real gentle with them for the first couple minutes of them cooking. I'm just going to stir them up just a little bit once they start to brown. And you can see they're starting to brown up real nice. Just be gentle with them. I like to use my flat wooden spoon that I have. Just kind of, I've tried tongs before, and tongs, it just tends to squish them. So here we go. Now they're cooking a lot better. They're browning up real nicely. And once they're browning up, you don't have to be so gentle with them. They won't fall apart. Okay, I'm going to put my lid on them, and I'm going to cook them for about 3 minutes on medium heat. Okay, so they've been cooking for about 3 minutes now, so the meatballs are completely done. They're all browned up and nice and cooked inside. So we're going to give them one more stir, just to make sure that they are all cooked, but they look like they're all cooked now. And then what I'm going to do is I've got a paper plate here, or just any kind of plate, and I've got some paper towels and a slotted spoon here. I'm just going to drain the meatballs. I'm just going to pull them out and put them on this paper towel so we can get them draining, and we're going to set them aside while we go ahead and make the sauce. And we definitely want to get rid of all that fat that's left in the pan because we don't need that. You can tell with the cheaper cuts of hamburger nowadays, they are getting really greasy in the store. Okay, so I've got all the meatballs. I'm just going to set those aside for right now. Now I've got my pan on medium heat. I drained all the grease out of it. And this is just a can. This is just a store brand, Kroger brand, cream of mushroom soup. You can use any brand of cream of mushroom you want. It's just a regular soup size can. Make sure to get all this out of this can. And I'm going to add 1 can of milk to it. Just give me a second. I'm filling my can up with some milk. Okay. Now I'm going to pour this can of milk in. And then I'm going to get it all stirred up. Stir this all up, break up the chunks. As soon as it starts to warm up, it'll mix up real easy. But this is a really quick and easy meal. It only takes a couple ingredients. Only takes maybe about 15 minutes to put the whole meal together. It's a very quick meal, and it's very filling, and it's really good. I decided one day, instead of just regular stroganoff, I wanted to make meatballs. So I went ahead and made meatballs up and made stroganoff with it. It's so good. And if you don't want to have this over noodles, you can always put it over mashed potatoes. You can put it over rice. I'm just going to add about a half a teaspoon of black pepper to this sauce. But like I said, you can put it over mashed potatoes or rice. It's really versatile. You can put it over anything. And I'm going to sprinkle in about a half a teaspoon of garlic salt. If you don't want the salt, you can just add some more garlic powder. I just think it needs a little salt. I think these cream of mushrooms in the can, I don't think they have a lot of saltiness to them, so gotta add a little bit of salt to bring up the flavor. And these meatballs aren't real salty because we didn't add a whole lot at the beginning. So we're just gonna let this warm up and let it get nice and warm, and it'll start to thicken up a little bit. And now what I'm gonna do is that brown gravy that I put in the meatballs earlier, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to add some more of that. Now this is the cream of mushroom can. I just put a half a can of cold water in. And then I'm going to use this brown gravy, and I'm going to put 2 teaspoons of brown gravy into this can that's got cold water. Just make sure you use cold water. If you use warm water, it's going to clump really bad. So there's 1 teaspoon. I'm just going to add another teaspoon. It's just a half a can of water and 2 teaspoons of that brown gravy mix. And I'm going to get it all stirred up. Stir this real quick so it doesn't burn on us. And we'll get this nice and stirred up. See if we can get all the lumps out of it. There might be a couple of more lumps left in it once you put it in here, but once the whole thing warms up, all the lumps are they'll disappear. They'll break up once it's all warmed up. There's a couple little pieces in there. There's not too many. Just make sure that you only use cold water, because if you use warm water, for some reason it just clumps it up instantly. Okay, so I just stirred that in, and we've got it back to a boil. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to add 2 heaping tablespoons of sour cream. And that brown gravy mix has got a thickener in it, so you'll see in just a minute when I start stirring this again that it's nice and thick. Now it's like a thick gravy, but it helps thicken up this sauce. Okay, let's get this sour cream all stirred in. It's a little hard to get stirred in until it's warmed up. Okay, now let's get the meatballs added back in that we had drained. I'm going to stir these up. Make sure we get all those extra onions off the plate. And I'm going to stir these up and get them all coated in the sauce. Doesn't that look good? Now at this point, if you don't want them over noodles, you could put it over rice, mashed potatoes. You could even put it on top of a baked potato. I think would probably be pretty good with maybe some chives. That sounds really good. I may have to try that next. Okay, now I'm going to get my pasta that I had drained all the water out of that we cooked earlier. These were the egg noodles. I'm just going to pour these in the pan. You can see the side of my pan. I had a disaster. I was recording the meatballs and the pan boiled over on me. So I got to clean up my stove now. But that's alright. It's alright to make a mess in the kitchen. As long as the food tastes good afterwards. Okay, I'm going to get all this stirred up so we can get all this gravy. We want it all covered on these nice noodles. Doesn't this look yummy? And the meatballs are so good that's in it. And this dish is just, it's a really filling dish. And like I said, you could easily feed 4 to 6 people. Easily. My husband always has a big plate and he'll go back for seconds. And plus we still have enough to put in the refrigerator so we can have leftover for lunch or dinner if I don't feel like cooking. So it's a really easy dish. I just want to thank everybody for joining me in the kitchen today, and I hope you're enjoying some of these recipes I've been making. I've been trying to do a lower version or cheaper cost version of some recipes because money's just tight nowadays for everybody, so I'm hoping this is helping out. So if you're enjoying these, please hit the like button. And I will see you back here next time with maybe some more gardening videos or some more recipe. Have a great day, everybody. Thanks for watching.